Professor Salim Karim, our guest of honor, High Commissioner of Pakistan, His Excellency Aftab Hussain Khan, Imran Noorbai, CEO, Standard Bank, and of course, I'm wearing his colors today, just hopefully he can give us a sponsorship next year as well. Representative of the AMCAB Group, our MINARA directors, Fawzia Pir, who's the ANC NEC member and the MINARA Vice President, our finalists, members, guests, Assalamu alaikum, good evening, Sanbonani. It is once again my privilege and pleasure to address you this evening at our annual awards dinner, and I'm really glad to see such a phenomenal turnout. Unfortunately, we couldn't sell any more tables because the venue was restricted to 40 tables and just maximum of 400 people. So to those people that couldn't be here, we just apologize and you watch it on Hilaal TV. It is not the best of times, unfortunately, with the genocide and disaster that is happening in Gaza and the West Bank, and which has been allowed to happen over the last 70 some odd years. I take this opportunity, and I think Fawzia can take our message back to the President, to commend our President, Cyril Ramaphosa, as well as our Minister Naledi Pandor, and leadership in government, who have been vociferous in standing up against atrocities, and we relate to the people of Palestine who are subjected to the worst form of apartheid than what we had to endure. It's absolutely horrendous that what's happening in Palestine and Gaza, and unfortunately the whole world who are sanctimonious and believe they're leaders of the Western nations, and they just stand back and watch. MINARA hosted a dinner a while back for over 1,000 people on behalf of Channel Islam International and Dr. Mads Gilbert. I don't know if you remember that, where we raised millions of rands for ambulance in Gaza, and that's exactly the type of thing that happened then, is happening now, and probably worse. Unfortunately, under such time that there's just solution to the Palestinian problem, the oppressed will react to their dispossession of land, inhumane treatment, harassment, imprisonment without trial, constant invasion of their territory, blockades, etc., in whatever means possible to highlight their plight to the international community. The problem is that we as a community are really reactive and not proactive, and this is something we blame ourselves for. When there is injustice and when there is all these type of tragedies, we basically spend millions of rands in relief effort, and we will be upset for a while, and of course we go back to our normal lives. The MINARA Chamber was formed over 2 decades ago as the only Muslim chamber in this country. It's different from other chambers since it doesn't just look after the interests of its members, and I think this is important. It doesn't just look after the interests of its members, but highlights the importance of uplifting the disadvantaged members of our community, irrespective of race or religion. As much as it's a Muslim chamber, we don't really discriminate when we really help and support the disadvantaged communities. It's not just the responsibility of Suleiman or any of its directors to make a difference. And this is something I want to emphasize today. It is incumbent on every one of you to support the chamber, participate in its activities, provide input, as well as mentorship to other members, and ensure that the voice of Muslim business and professionals is heard. So it's not just our problem as directors, or it's not just our responsibility, it's the responsibility of every one of ourselves. We have created the vehicle, and we invite all businesses that believe in the Islamic way of doing business to join and interact with each other. South Africa needs this. The community needs this. Over the past 2 decades, we have built up relationships with foreign embassies, chambers nationally and internationally, with government partners at all levels, with political leadership, with various organizations, including the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Agriculture. It's an international body which represents a large number of Muslim businesses in various countries, especially the OIC countries. And of course, the membership fee there, I must thank Al Baraka Bank. I don't know, Mohammed Kaka has paid the fees, but Al Baraka Bank has sponsored the membership fee to the ICCIA. We host ambassadors, high commissioners, trade commissioners, incoming trade delegations, as well as participate in outgoing trade delegations and international trade exhibitions. During COVID, MINARA played an important role in facilitating support and advice to businesses who needed to benefit from TERS and other grants. Hundreds of small businessmen and women benefited from legal business advice as well as guidance. MINARA supported small business during the looting through an initiative called REHOP with partners such as the South African Muslim Charitable Trust, Muslims for Humanity, Willerton Group, as well as Al Baraka Bank. Together with SAMCT, MINARA funds SMMEs who show potential and need funding to grow or sustain their business, and we're hoping it's sooner than later we'd set up a skills development center. We have various committees including international trade, SMMEs, young entrepreneurs, membership, marketing, and we have the following directors who are present here today. Fawzia Pir, who's the Vice President and former Deputy Mayor of eThekwini. Razak Juma, our MC for the evening, is the Secretary General. Dawood Lockhart is in Finance. Ibrahim Patel, International Trade. Aslam Ismail is the Political Chair. Askar is the Chair of Gauteng as well as International Relationships. Isa Hassim is Young Entrepreneurship. And Zain Mita, SMMEs. And of course, Nazreen is our Marketing Social Media Fundi. And of course, she's the one that ensured that we have a new redesign of the logo as well as the website. Professor Halima Kunote is now joined us on the board, leading academic and government official, heads the Office of Standards Compliance, and is involved in capacity building in the national and provincial cabinet, and we're hoping that she translates this to empowering the directors as well as our members. We have many plans for 2024, including leveraging the connectivity with the ICCI and all embassies, as well as partnerships with SAMCT in creating a skills development hub. As a community, we need to support the MINARA Chamber financially and otherwise, rather than sit on the sidelines and claim ignorance of a chamber that is in existence for decades and has had awardees that are leaders in their fields nationally and internationally. And many of our awards functions have been broadcast live, like this evening, and tonight's evening has been broadcast by Hilaal TV. John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." It's therefore disappointing that some of the community members will request favors. We need a visa intervention, we need to intervene with government departments, we need to cut red tape, we need advice. When the job is done, membership fees are then not paid despite numerous requests. Now, it's not really fair to the chamber. It costs to run this chamber, and it's really an unfair process. All Muslim businesses should really set aside funds and even set up special projects within the chamber to empower our unemployed as well as women and children. And I think this is the future that we need to focus on. It is really sad when we are told that MINARA is of no value, and there's also an expectation that if there is a sponsorship, there will be an enormous spin-off. Sponsorships, more often than not, is really a branding exercise. And we have provided the platform, and the sponsor can use the opportunity to grow his or her business with guests that attend events like this. And you can see the type of attendance. Of course, I must commend Imran Noorbai and Hamid Noor Mohammed from Standard Bank, who have always supported our awards functions, and really they need a round of applause. You know why we're doing that. If you do what we currently do and expect magic to happen and save our people in Palestine and elsewhere in the world, then unfortunately our children and grandchildren will face the same trauma vis-a-vis Gaza or state capture in South Africa or corruption within South Africa. So the reality is, if we're just going to carry on doing things that we need to do for ourselves and not bother to uplift our communities, then we're all in trouble. MINARA is represented on various platforms. For example, the KBCC, that's the KwaZulu Business Chamber, which represents all KwaZulu-Natal chambers. We're also part of the KwaZulu Growth Coalition, KwaZulu Economic Advisory Council, at the eThekwini War Room. We've been on this war room for a while now, but there's no war happening, unfortunately. See, since Fawzia has left the council, the war room is without any guns. And of course, we're also in the eThekwini Economic Advisory Council. On the 20th of October, and I think there's a representation here from Salga, I was requested to address the South African Local Government Association breakfast meeting, and SALCA represents 61 municipalities in KZN. The SALCA leadership has a strategic plan to partner businesses in order to improve the economic conditions of the municipalities and create an environment for growth. Of course, I've got a bit of a big mouth, so I was quite critical of our current status in KwaZulu-Natal and elsewhere in South Africa, with a focus on race rather than competence, and as well as an obsession with BEE at a higher level, rather than BEE where it's needed the most. The reality is, it's not working. Everything that we're doing is not working. All these policies and legislation that we have that is imposed on the private sector is not working. The reality is that the money, and that's something I've emphasized to them as well, I made it clear that nothing will change unless change occurs in the way we conduct business in our public sector. The reality is that money government receives is our money. And I've emphasized to them that there's a term called amanat. Of course, people don't like that word, but there's a term. And I said, we give you what's our value. You're meant to use it responsibly. It's not your money. It's not Treasury's money. It's not government's money. It's our money that we give you to use, and use it to uplift the community. You need to deliver to the community. I mentioned that also politicians and civil servants must have empathy and care for the people on the ground. If not, they should not be in those positions. There are many initiatives of this nature which is not just to benefit our members, but also this is MINARA. There are many initiatives of this nature which is not just to benefit our members, but also the disadvantaged members of the community. After all, that's what we are about. We try to inculcate a we culture rather than a me culture. The MINARA Awards function is the highlight of our year, where we recognize leading businessmen, women, businesses, professional achievers, community builders, many of whom do not need the accolade, but we believe that they have to be recognized in order for the younger generation to emulate them. All the entrants are winners, but the independent judges had to decide, and the emphasis that independent judges had to decide. Firstly, the finalists and then the winners. I must admit, I will be hearing the names of the winners for the first time when it's announced. So we had no say in who was chosen. So Ahmed Al-Qadi, if you don't win, don't blame me. I hope that my address is giving those that are present here today and our viewers some food for thought. I must say, as a national executive member of the Islamic Medical Association of South Africa, we have the same problem with recruiting members. And the question that is asked is, what is in it for me, rather than let me join and make a difference to my community and to humanity. Well, I have a dream, and of course I've stolen that from someone. I have a dream that there will be a time that the business and professional community will realize the importance of organizations like MINARA, Amal, Samnet, ASRI, OCAF, where we have central headquarters that encompass business promotion, skills development, research, media development and studies, development of the future political leadership, organizational oversight, business-to-business networking, and global networking. It would be great to have lawyers, accountants, business persons, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, all under one roof, interacting, networking, planning, and becoming proactive. Okay, that's enough said. It is now my privilege and pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this evening. I think none of you haven't heard of Professor Salim Abdul Karim. He's got a long CV. I probably spend the whole night here if I'm going to go through his CV. But he really is a person that really needs no introduction. Safe to say that he's the director of CAPRISA, professor for global health at Columbia University, adjunct professor of medicine at Cornell University, New York, and is chair of UNAIDS, United Nations AIDS Scientific Expert Panel, and the WHO TB HIV Task Force. He's on many boards and has won many awards and accolades. I think he wins an accolade every month. I will probably be here till midnight, as I mentioned, if I have to read out his extensive CV. He's a medical doctor, has master's, PhD, DSc, and many other qualifications. He's an epidemiologist and a virologist. We have seen him extensive during the COVID pandemic, and of course, he was the chair of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19. Professor Salim Karim,